You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Welcome everybody to the Four Corners, brought to you by the Official Wrestling Museum. We are your hosts. I am Angel, and I'm joined by the Official Wrestling Museum's Hall of Famer,
Lowlife.
And
We're also brought to you today by the color red.
yes, red is in the air. So, so this week's show, and we have explained this multiple times, we're picking our top four.
Well, no, this is like
not,
top.
We're not technically the top, but we feel
whatever
goes.
what we want to discuss.
Right.
Might not be our favorite, might not be the worst. Might be. It might just be something we remember a lot. It might be just I want to throw this out there because I want to hear his thoughts on it. But whatever we decide of the subject to throw into that corner is what we're going to talk about.
That's
and what are we talking about this week?
This week, the worst gimmicks in
Yeah.
professional wrestling.
Well, this is a fun one. This is going to be
interesting.
We want to do, actually, this will be it's a two-part one, because we
Yeah.
were going to do best and worst.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe we should do best first. It's like, nah, you can't do the best without doing the worst.
You got to do the worst.
Because, if you're going to talk about the best, you're going to say, oh, remember this gimmick was so bad? So worst is the way to go.
And you got to remember, too, a lot of these guys or girls that play these characters, sometimes they were just given this character.
Yeah.
So it's not anything against them
Right.
personally.
Right.
But they went out there, they delivered, they did what professional wrestling was, and to
Yeah.
entertain. And that's why you guys need to scan that QR code, because we need to make a National Pro Wrestling Day. We have a Pro Wrestling Day here in Rhode Island on June 13th. So if you guys can sign it takes less than 10 seconds to do, and we can get it out to all these different politicians, we can make it national. And this business absolutely deserves it.
Yeah.
So-
I was going to say, in fact, most of these are not about the wrestler at all. It's about the gimmick, and
Yeah.
the gimmicks probably hampered them, which if we're going to go right into the first corner.
let's go into it.
I'm going to throw it out there because it works with the transition here. My first corner is specifically the gimmick I think really derailed the wrestler and pretty much killed him, and that's the pirate character for Paul Burchill.
Okay.
Paul Burchill was kind of like ECW. I think it was in the new ECW. He was like Regal's kind of understudy.
Yep.
He worked with Regal. I don't even know if it was ECW. I think it might have even been Jacked or Metal or something that he was always on.
He was mostly
It was on
them,
one
yeah.
of those syndicated shows. Paul Burchill from England was a younger guy, new talent, and he had a really cool look. He was English, but he wasn't like, I don't know, I'm from England, and I like a spot of tea. He wasn't one of those guys.
Yeah.
But he was from England, and I just really felt like him and Regal had a really cool dynamic. And then all of a sudden, Pirates of the Caribbean comes out. Vince McMahon must have seen the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Burchill's looking like Captain Jack Sparrow, swinging in, talking like a pirate. Kaylee Burchill,
Yep.
all of a sudden she's a wench, a pirate wench or whatever. Really ruined Paul Burchill. I think he only stuck around maybe for like another year. He became kind of one of those comedy oddity characters, like you'd see him in the backstage when Farouk was going to say what he was going to say,
Yep.
and because I don't know if we can say it, and just I really feel like it deserves a corner because, again, was the gimmick horrible? It was, but it could have been done very well, but it wasn't.
I think it was also the wrong timing for that particular character to be out there, for sure.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a good one. So my first one is Mantar. Okay.
Mantar was a toss-up. Now, I've always wanted to ask Jim Cornette. I've always wanted to ask him, people have asked him if the gimmick was a rib, and he always says no. But I've always wanted to ask him, was giving them that big, gigantic moose head thing a rib? Because did this guy have to go to airports carrying that around? But
Right.
Mantar was
I
bad.
didn't understand it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he came out, you thought he was going to be this big, ferocious thing, and he worked calmly in the ring. And I don't think he knew what he was supposed to do with the character.
Right. Well, what do you do? I mean, he went on to join the FBI and ECW.
Well, right.
Was it Bull Mastino, I think? And he was in, I think he was in the Nation of Domination in the USWA. They had their own Nation of Domination with Tracy Smothers. But as Mantar, ooh, and he would come to the ring. Just that. I think that's going in the corner when the big ring at the end.
Yep.
That was a bad one. So for my next worst gimmick, I think I am gonna go. It's bouncing these around is pretty pretty tough.
to pick these four.
This one I think is trashed universally. The Red Rooster has to go in there. Like for me,
Okay. All right. Yeah.
again, not a knock on Terry Taylor. I think Terry Taylor is a great wrestler. But and I've
I see
heard
that.
Pritchard, I've heard Bruce Pritchard in his podcast talk about, given that gimmick, he should have done more with it. He didn't put his all into it. Dusty Rhodes put his all into the polka dots and all that. Dusty Rhodes also was number one. He's Dusty Rhodes, but second, still the polka dots and the common man is not as bad as a Red Rooster.
Yeah.
And Bruce Pritchard said the idea was for him to come out and be the cock of the walk and chirp. You dude, no, come on. I know you're going to try to put that off as it could have been a good gimmick. There's no
wasn't. No
possible way.
None.
And again, Terry Taylor was fine. He had done some previous matches as Terry Taylor, some not tryouts, but before they set him into the gimmick. Again, I told the story about there's that word,
Yep.
they were going to we had two gimmicks, Mr. Perfect and the Red Rooster, and we have two wrestlers, Kurt Hennig and Terry Taylor, who should get what? Again, Terry Taylor could have made Mr. Perfect work. Not as good as Kurt Hennig, but it could have still worked. Kurt Hennig, as great as he is, I don't think could have worked Red Rooster. Who could have?
Yeah.
That's number
true.
two. Yeah.
That's true. So I'm going to go with another gimmick. And it wasn't a bad gimmick. And the guy who played the gimmick wasn't bad at how he played the gimmick. It just didn't work in the time frame. And I don't think it would ever have worked. Maybe, I don't know. But it's tough. T.L. Hopper.
See, I love T.L. Hopper.
I love the gimmick, but I think the gimmick itself just didn't fit TV.
I can see your point to that. I think it takes a special or a unique person to like that. Like, I love toilet humor, as we know. Yeah. And, it's definitely a takeoff of, again, whoever came up with it probably saw Caddyshack and saw the part where Bill Murray gets the Baby Ruth out of the pool. But think about it. I think that now I would have taken it further. I don't even know if they did this. So maybe you could remember. Did he ever take that plunger and hit people in the face with it?
He did.
Okay, because I would have went further with it.
It was good. Yeah, I know you would have went further.
I think, now, did you say that you don't think they picked the right guy for it?
No, I think he did a great job.
Because I
think the gimmick itself, though, it's more a top star for independent company.
Yeah.
Than
that's the thing.
Mainstream on TV. That's why that made my list, not because of what the character of who did it.
Yeah.
It was or how it was played, because it was really done well. I just think the gimmick shouldn't have been on TV.
I think that's something to explain what gimmicks is. Sometimes a gimmick can work really well. Now, this isn't one of my worst gimmicks, but it's an example. I think in NXT,
just going to bring that up.
Adam Rose worked really well in that small setting. He had or No Way Jose, even for that matter. They had the small conga line with him, and Adam Rose came out with the Rosebuds. Yeah, you take that to a major level, the main roster level. Now every week he's doing Raw, and there's, instead of whatever there was, 300, 400, 500 people in the NXT crowd. Now you're talking about 12, 13,000 people, and you got 14 people following you. It doesn't work the same.
Think of it. If you're in a crowd and you have somebody with a plunger, and there's 100, 200, 300 people there, you're not going to want to touch that guy. There's a chance of you touching him. What about if he has crap on him? You know what I mean?
See,
Now,
I would
if you're
have
in a
went
crowd
further, and I would
that's
have.
1,600 or 16,000 people. Oh, he ain't touching me. He's way over
Yeah.
there. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna go with another one that again is universally panned, and it's WCW, NWA, whatever. I'm not sure at the time if it was in that cross period time. The Ding Dongs was just such a stupid.
Okay.
I think it was just such a stupid gimmick. The tag team, they came out, and I think it might have only been one time. They had bells all over them. I just think it was stupid. Like the bells were breaking off as they were wrestling. Horrible gimmick. Horrible. I have nothing else. There's nothing else really to say about it except they came out with bells on and stuff, and that was garbage.
Yeah.
And you say okay, like as if you're like, that was a pretty good one.
It was a pretty good one. See, here's the thing, too. Like, WCW had a lot of garbage characters that they only utilized on, like, Saturday night main events.
WCW
Saturday
Night.
Night, yeah.
Yeah, they did use a lot. You know what though? When it came to that, like especially towards the end, WCW Saturday Night almost became like its own company.
Yeah.
Where I think Jimmy Hart had even said, because the TV title had got thrown in the garbage or whatever, he wanted, can we have that TV title and just use it on Saturday night? And they did. Like I think Mark Jintrak was like a basketball player. And
Yep.
It really was like its own company.
Yeah.
And so I liked that because it was something different. Yeah, the gimmicks were horrible, but it was trying to do something different. So now I made the last pick, right? Yeah.
You did make the last pick. I'm trying to think. So I have a few in mind, and I know who I want to mention last. And I don't know if you're going to come up with it or not. So
Probably not. I think my last pick is not going to be picked by you.
you think it's not. Okay. So now I have a couple in my mind. And it's tough too because it's so you have to look at this in different okay, so we sit and we try to put characters together, right? And it's like, okay, you want to know if they're going to get over, how they're going to get over, how they're going to look, if it's going to get over with the crowd, and that's a lot of different things you have to nail down. Man, this one is tough. And I don't want to say my last one.
Is it tough in the sense of you like the gimmick, but
I kind of, yeah, but.
okay, so for example, like you said T.L. Harper, I can totally understand T.L. Harper. I like the gimmick. I mean, do I like the gimmick? It's a trashy gimmick, but to me, it's funny. Where I wouldn't have put it on the list because of that. But the wrestler playing it, Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony, was awesome. And
Yeah.
so you picking the gimmick, it's not necessarily you even saying that you think the gimmick doesn't, it's like you saying the gimmick maybe just didn't work, but doesn't mean I think it was necessarily a bad gimmick. It just didn't work in that sense, or you can even flip it. I think the gimmick didn't work, but I think the guy playing it made it work, whatever. It's whatever you want to throw in the corner.
It's tough, but there's so many. Like this is a
Right.
tough.
That's why we only have 4. See,
Man,
that's the emphasis of
yeah.
the show.
This one is tough because
You don't even get 5.
you don't even get 5. Like,
Yeah.
man,
Do you want me to pick my 4th to give you a little time?
yeah.
All right.
Do that.
So I have honorable mentions, but I think I had 2 honorable mentions, but I think I'm going with my 4th, the Yeti. The Yeti was horrible. Big Ron Studd, Ron Reese came out, did the everyone if you have Facebook, you've seen it. The Giant. I mean, I almost wanted to say, how about the Dungeon of Doom as a whole?
So that was one of mine, thinking Dungeon of Doom because, I mean, as a whole, it was just odd.
I think. All right. So real quick
All right.
I'll say real quick about the Yeti. Big Ron Studd, Ron Reese was tall guy, maybe even taller than the Giant. Giant's out there choking Hulk Hogan. Yeti comes from behind, and it looks like each one is on the side of him. I think that's the only time it's the Yeti. But so the Yeti is up there. But let me say this about the Dungeon of Doom, because I've had this discussion with people that said the Dungeon of Doom was complete garbage, and I agree. But I will also say this: wrong place, wrong time. If the Dungeon of Doom was in 1984 against Hulk Hogan, the Dungeon of Doom would have been awesome.
I also think
In
Dungeon of Doom,
1996, it was not.
yeah, I was invested in Dungeon of Doom. I think the problem was they didn't utilize everybody in the Dungeon of Doom the way they should have. So it just looked like, okay, this guy's strong, this guy, and these guys are just tag-alongs. And I think that's what brought the aura of the demons and the scariness
Yeah.
down. So, all right,
It
I'm
was
going to
just
go.
a monster factory for Hogan, and
Yeah.
some of them just did not translate well. My other two picks were my honorable mentions are mostly Dungeon of Doom guys.
So let's go with my third. I nailed it to this guy, Golga. Remember?
Yeah, from the
Okay.
oddities.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm saying that it has nothing to do with who played
John
the character.
Tenta, right? John
Okay?
Tenta as Earthquake.
Awesome guy.
John Tenta as Earthquake was awesome. Awesome.
And I got the gimmicks, but they didn't do nothing with it to
Right.
explain.
They never explained
what it
what the
was.
bumps were.
Yeah.
Right. He
And
just
I think
became
it it dropped the ball.
And then once they turned him baby faces, all he became was a South Park fan.
Yeah.
And they never explained what the bumps were on the head.
Nope.
And they even started doing he started doing the earthquake, but they never explained that
No.
maybe this is the earthquake,
Yeah.
John Tenta as
He was
I
unbelievable.
want
wrestling
to
talent.
because I'm pretty sure this isn't your fourth pick. One of my honorable mentions was John Tenta as the Shark.
So I like the Shock.
You like the Shark?
I was invested into the Shock gimmick.
As
I
Avalanche,
don't know.
okay, but as Shark,
It was weird, but remember they had Bash of the Beach.
yeah.
You know what I mean? They utilized him pretty good during that time frame.
Right, he was
You
a
know what I
top
mean?
heel in the company
He
at the
was.
time.
So I see now that's where we'll differ
And the
on
thing
that
that
stuff.
I always feel bad about Tenta, they always say he had the tiger he went to LSU. He had the tiger, got the tattoo redone as a Shark, and then they always like to say a month later he was still a Shark a little longer,
Yeah.
but he got that tattoo done. They changed him, and then of course led to the "I'm not a fish, I'm a man."
Yeah.
But John Tenta for me, honorable mention is a Shark. As Earthquake though, like I said, the guy is playing this character. And then he's playing this character, which leads me to, I'm going to say another one real quick because I know transition-wise it works.
Okay.
I know it's not going to be your fourth pick. That's why Demolition Smash was
Okay.
Crusher Khrushchev, great gimmick. Demolition Smash, great gimmick. Repo Man, okay, it worked. Then he becomes, I'm not even going to say Blacktop Bully. That worked too. Then he becomes Hole-in-One Barry Darso.
Yeah.
Horrible
Like,
gimmick. Now, he says it was great in the sense of, well, the idea was for me to go play golf with all these other pro golfers and we would shoot vignettes with them. Okay, that works, but they never did it.
Yeah.
And he just came out carrying a golf club to the ring. And he said he loved it because he did get to play golf and stuff, but he never, it just never went anywhere. It was just something for him to do jobs with. That's fine. Had it done what he wanted it, what the idea was, okay, but that's an honorable mention. I knew you weren't
Okay.
going to pick it. So.
No, I wasn't going to pick him.
But
I
but
thought of him, though.
I was going to say the reason I brought it up is because just like with Earthquake, John Tenta, Earthquake up here is a gimmick. Golga, Shark
Yeah.
Shark for me down here. Barry Darso, all his other, Smash Khrushchev up here. Repo Man and Blacktop Bully towards the middle. Barry Hole-in-One Barry Darso down the bottom.
I hear that. I like Repo Man. I think he did good with
It was
Repo
okay.
Man. He did.
It worked for what they wanted at first. He was the
Yeah.
Repo Man for Ted DiBiase.
True.
So
So my last pick is going to be the Shockmaster. And the,
yeah, go ahead. I'll let you talk.
So the reason why I said that was such a worse, a horrible character, is because I really think they set that whole character up to fail.
Well, that's the thing.
You know what I mean? They made a mask that had no eye holes in it.
And it had no.
He couldn't even breathe.
They didn't even have legal permission to use it. It was a Star Wars
Yep.
stormtrooper mask just with glitter all over it.
The reason that he fell was it was a 2x4 or a 4x4 running across the bottom. There was no safety involved. So it was kind of like, I think he was sold that it was supposed to go one way,
Yeah.
and it seemed like it was just a rib.
And the thing with
to it. And I
Shockmaster
think
too.
that could have been something.
Well,
though.
I'm
I don't know
going
how
the
big.
I'm going the opposite. See, the thing now, Shockmaster was obviously an honorable mention. How could it not be? But I think a lot of people, much like with the Ding Dongs for me, I think a lot of people might be going, that's the obvious answer for this question. But in all honesty, Had the Shockmaster not tripped and fallen, what was that gimmick going to be? To me, what was it going to be?
Well, I think we were going to understand what that gimmick would have been, and it probably would have been something. Obviously, he would have had to take off the mask. He probably would have ended his matches with a sidewalk slam or something like that.
For me, though, I'm sorry. Typhoon, Fred Ottman is just not a top guy. He's not John Tenta. John Tenta could be that. Fred Ottman, they were going to, remember I told you, they were going to have him be heel against Hogan at Mania as an Iraqi sympathizer. I don't see that in Fred Ottman. I'm sorry, I just don't. I'm not saying he's not talented. He was awesome as Typhoon, even Tugboat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree on Shockmaster. I don't know. Do you?
I think
you want to say anything else about Shockmaster?
No, I think Shockmaster, we would have known more if it wasn't supposed to be a rib. Like if it's that.
Didn't he end up becoming after that, and after maybe like the initial first couple shows? Didn't he become like didn't he become like a construction worker?
Yes.
And he would like fall asleep in the ring and stuff.
Yeah.
But now see the falling asleep in the ring thing. He was a really what is it? Narcoleptic? Is that okay? I wanted to make sure I was saying the right thing.
I believe that's I think that's how it's said. Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing because there's another thing I'm thinking of that is with dead people that I wanted to make sure it's not that one. So, anyway, yeah, narcoleptic, which means he falls asleep all the time.
Yeah, that's the one he's trying to get out. Okay, so we got it wrong. Just no.
But yeah. So I agree with that. I don't. So do you want to? Well, now. Okay. So now we got
as another honorable mentions for a fellow Fisher Ross Museum's Hall of Famer, Gilbert, for when he did the turtle gimmick.
Okay. I could see that though at the time. They're trying to capitalize. They weren't the only ones to do it. I think there
was a few.
I think Mark. Why can I not say his name here? The referee, super ref, Mark Curtis.
Yep.
He was doing that in I think USWA. So they were capitalizing on the time.
Yeah, I get that. But it's just to me.
There's a lot of honorable mentions.
Maybe that's why there's a crossover with the turtle lines. They did it twice.
Well, yeah. Turtle lines are they cross over with everything.
That's true.
Turtles they just make money. So, we'll do our final ring and then we can draw some honorable mentions.
You have Paul Burtroff, Red Rooster, Ding Dongs, and Yeti.
Yeah.
Anybody that's just tuning in now listening to these names, they're like, what are these guys talking about? I have Mantar, TL Hopper, Golga, and Shockmaster.
All right, so what I like to try to do is like not just put all mine in there. Mantar's going in a corner.
All right, Mantar.
He's got to. Just based on that head alone.
Yeah.
Like that thing was ridiculous.
Yeah.
The look. And he could have probably gotten something over. Again, he was a short, thick, really big, like almost like Bronson Reed today. Maybe not as big. And Mantar just did. Maybe if he was like a bull, but a Mantar. So I'm throwing Mantar in the corner.
Not off topic here, but Bronson Reed, like 2 weeks ago, he had a title match against Sami Zayn, and it got interrupted by Chad. Mm-hmm. Then he laid out Chad, but then he's smiling afterwards. Why are you smiling? You just lost your opportunity to win a title.
At least we got to see the tsunami, which
that's true.
Which made last week's finishing move.
It did.
One, so
I would be comfortable in saying definitely tossing Red Rooster.
I think Red Rooster and Mantar.
Yeah.
I don't care what Pritchard says. I don't care what anyone says. Red Rooster was doomed to fail. So we got Mantar and the Red Rooster.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say Yeti.
Yeah. Now with a quick thing about Yeti, I thought maybe is he going to say, because I know a lot of people will throw this gimmick in there, the gobbledygooker. And the reason why I wouldn't is because it was a one-time thing.
Yeah, he didn't wrestle.
Right. Yeti was a one-time thing, but it wasn't designed to be. They wanted that to work, and it didn't work, and it was a one-time thing.
And I will say,
he also did the Super Ninja, which was also pretty bad. You have a 7-foot ninja. But yeah, gobbledygooker for me doesn't make that list. I'm a ninja. So, Yeti, I think, does make that list because it was one time, but it was because it was so bad. Gobbledygooker was only designed to be the one time.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with Yeti going in. So you got Mantar in one corner, Red Rooster, the Yeti, and curious to see who you would throw in for the fourth.
I don't know.
I don't feel comfortable throwing T.L. Hopper in because I don't think T.L. Hopper was the worst. And you got to remember too, T.L. Hopper was at a time when they were coming out with the Goon, which you could call one of the worst gimmicks, but Cowboy Bill Irwin coming in on boots that had the lifts on them like ice skates. That's dying
true.
for a broken ankle. And that could be a gimmick that works. He throws down the gloves, gets into it.
Yep.
Alex the Pug Porto was there. They had Freddie Joe Floyd, Salvatore. That was at the time where they had some horrible gimmicks.
Yeah.
T.L. Hopper to me it could be fun.
It could be. I just think it wasn't for a large audience.
I don't want him to be the fourth one. I think that there's better ones.
All right.
And you know what? If I'm picking,
Yep.
he's on there. He was on there almost twice. I would go with possibly Golga, because just the fact of they never, like you said, they never fleshed out what it was. He was an oddity. How about you never tell us? They always would mention the bumps on his head. Never once did they say what it was. What is he? He just became, like I said, a South Park fan.
Maybe he was the guy that's in charge of GTV.
Golga TV. Hey, he could have fit for the G's and the
right.
But
I wouldn't be comfortable with Paul Bertram. The gimmick itself was
but
he did. He looked like a pirate at least.
I wanted to throw it in there because I knew it would. Because again, not the worst gimmick, not the most memorable. I wanted to discuss it though.
Right.
So see, there we go. That's why it is.
So we got
Mantar.
This is one heck of a Mantar, the Red Rooster, Golga, and Yeti.
Imagine having those guys in your company.
Right.
And someone did.
Yeah. Imagine having all four of them in a picture.
Imagine that. Imagine, and some of those guys.
It's not a knocker who played them either. It's just.
And you got Golga and the Yeti. Both of those guys played two other characters that were honorable mentions.
Yeah.
And, not Ron Studd, but John Tenter, who played Golga, played the Earthquake. One of the best heels.
Yeah, absolutely.
I almost said something I shouldn't have said.
Yeah.
One of the best heels. So great for Hogan and Jake the Snake.
Yes.
And as Avalanche, it was a step down from Earthquake, and Avalanche isn't as bad as an Earthquake. But you know what? How about this one? The Guardian Angel as an honorable mention. You had the big boss man.
Yeah.
Then he becomes a Guardian Angel. There's just a bunch of guys walking around the subways in New York.
Yeah. He did.
So,
Big Bubba Rogers, I didn't mind.
No, that worked.
Yeah, that worked
I think
really
we could
well.
do
He's
another whole. We
thing
could do
from the
another
Fish
whole
Roast
show,
Museum.
an off the rope show, just on horrible gimmicks.
Yeah, we really could. I hope you guys are taking notes over there. So, thank you guys very much. I hope you guys enjoyed this
This
show.
was a fun one.
Send us in to let us know who you guys are putting in your four corners.
Yeah.
The museum did say some of you guys are starting to write them in, so we will be starting to read them off in our coming shows. Obviously, it won't be for that particular theme, but we'll read some off and stuff. So make sure you guys keep doing that. We do thank you. Send your questions in for the hot tag, because without you, we can't answer questions. While you're doing things, make sure you scan that QR code on the screen and help us get National Pro Wrestling Day with your signature. It can make it happen. It's totally free to do. Take less than 10 seconds to do. Free preview. We talk about our back history with Sergeant Stryker and where we build up to July 29th, one of the greatest wrestling events to hit Rhode Island and New England for a while, for quite some time. Free Figures Are Us title belts. We talk about and
Toy
title belts. Yes, I forgot that word. That was most important there.
Yeah, because someone's gonna go, "What are they talking about toys?"
Right.
But figures are us.
Yeah, exactly.
You figure.
And there are us. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't good.
All right. No,
But
my part was good. Yours wasn't.
Yeah, that's so true. I get one bad one. And Off the Ropes is very special this week. We talked about our community outreach program, why it's important, how we can get involved with something you're doing. It's totally free to do, and some special events that we were a part of. We're really looking forward for that episode. And we thank you guys, and you know what they say.
Come back next week and see what's in the corner.
See you guys.